April 17, 1943, 0640 hours. Cold morning air hangs over a captured American supply truck as German soldiers gather around the rifle unlike anything they've held before. Frost crunches under their boots. The smell of damp earth mixes with engine oil drifting from nearby vehicles. A mechanic wipes dust from the weapon's walnut stock, running his fingers over the unfamiliar metal contours. The others lean in, whispering. The forest is quiet except for birds and distant artillery thumps. They've heard rumors, but now they're holding the truth. The weapon is marked U.S. Rifle, caliber .30 M1, a standard American infantry rifle, but semi-automatic. One German NCO mutters, almost disbelieving, "If every U.S. soldier carries this, what chance does a bolt action have?" To understand their shock, we have to go back to the beginning. For decades, armies around the world relied on bolt-action rifles. One shot, cycle the bolt, aim again. Trained men could fire fast, but physics and muscle always slowed them down. Then came an American engineer, John C. Garand, a quiet Canadian-born designer working at Springfield Armory. His goal was simple, almost impossible for the 1920s. Build a rugged, gas-operated rifle that could fire as fast as a soldier could pull the trigger. Years of trials followed: dust tests, mud tests, cold weather trials. Errors were fixed, mechanisms refined. And in 1936, the U.S. adopted the world's first standard-issue semi-automatic service rifle. At the time, few took it seriously. Many European officers dismissed it as unnecessary complexity. Some even mocked it. But the Americans trained an entire generation of soldiers around it, and by 1942, in North Africa, the Garand presence was unmistakable. German units encountering its rapid fire for the first time wrote shocked after-action reports. They couldn't understand how U.S. infantry squads produced such dense and accurate fires so quickly. And now, here in the early spring of 1943, German evaluators finally have their hands on one. They hold it up to the morning light. 8 rounds in a clip. Smooth cycling. Lightweight compared to what they expected. But a question hangs in the air. Unspoken, but heavy. How far could it reach, and how fast could it truly fire in skilled hands? The rifle sits on a wooden table as mist drifts between the trees, and a German weapons inspector loads an 8-round N-block clip with a metallic snap. The sound echoes across the testing range like a challenge. A slow breeze carries the smell of pine and burnt powder from previous trials. Observers stand behind a chalk line, notebooks ready, their breath visible in the cold morning air. They aren't here to admire craftsmanship, they're here to understand the threat spreading across every front where American troops appear. The inspector shoulders the rifle. He pulls the trigger once. The Garand bucks gently, far less than they expected. A second shot follows almost instantly, then a third. The rhythm is new to their ears, not the familiar pause of a bolt cycling, but a smooth, steady cracking that punches downrange. One officer raises his eyebrows. Another scribbles notes quickly. A younger corporal whispers, "How is it so stable? How does it return to target so fast?" It's a genuine question. Even German engineers will spend months analyzing. Meanwhile, sandbags burst open as bullets strike with surprising consistency. A distant steel plate rings again and again, each hit almost identical to the last. German testing logs from 1943 and 1944 captured this moment precisely. The American M1 allows significantly higher practical fire rates than our Carabiner 98K. The speed of successive shots is alarming. And here on this quiet forest range, that sentence is being proven line by line. The inspector pauses only when the clip ejects with the famous metallic ping. A moment of silence follows, an uncomfortable, stunned quiet. The officer in charge steps forward, picking up the empty clip from the dirt. He turns it in his hand as though searching for a weakness. Instead, he finds a revelation. The Americans engineered a rifle that balanced firepower with reliability in a way Germany hadn't prioritized. He orders another test, this time for effective range. Targets are moved farther back, stretching into the tree line. As the Garand fires again, observers note something unsettling. Despite rapid firing, the rounds strike close to center. Even at extended distances, its accuracy keeps startling them. And a question grows heavier. If American infantry can fire this quickly and still hit this far, how does a German squad respond under real combat pressure? Reports sent to Berlin later that month described the M1's combination of rate of fire, durability, and reach as advantageous to the enemy in all engagements under 600 meters. One senior officer went further, warning that American riflemen could outshoot German line infantry in open fights. Back at the range, another test begins. Mud is smeared on the action, cartridges are dipped in dust, the Garand is fired, and again it works. Observers mutter nervously, their notes grow darker. They hadn't expected this, and yet the rifle continues to prove itself shot after precise, relentless shot. The afternoon sun sinks low behind the trees as the final trials begin, casting long shadows over the range. The air has warmed, but tension hangs heavier than the humidity. German officers gather for what they consider the most important demonstration, a combat simulation. They want to know what happens when American riflemen armed with the M1 unleash their full firepower against advancing troops. The silence is thick. Dust settles. Even the birds seem to pause. A soldier steps forward with the Garand, the stock worn smooth from hours of handling. He loads an 8-round clip. The metallic snap echoes like a warning. Targets shaped like advancing infantry appear across staggered distances, some close, others partially hidden behind logs and brush. A whistle blows. The test begins. The Garand erupts, not wildly, not chaotically, but with a controlled storm of fire that startles even the hardened officers watching. Each shot lands faster than they can track. The rifle returns to target almost instantly, the gas-operated mechanism absorbing recoil and keeping the sight steady. Dirt kicks up around the targets as they drop one after another. Observers murmur anxiously. Some step closer, hoping to catch the mechanism failing, but it doesn't. Half a minute later, smoke wafts gently over the range. The gunner exhales, lowering the rifle. 8 rounds gone. Another clip inserted. 8 more fired. Then another. In a real battle, this would mean that an American rifleman could sustain overwhelming pressure and German soldiers would be forced to take cover long before they reached effective firing distance with a bolt-action rifle. One officer writes a line that would later be quoted in a weapons report. Under rapid engagement, our infantry cannot match the American rate of fire. The realization settles over them like a weight. The Americans hadn't just improved a rifle, they had changed the speed of infantry combat itself. As the day ends, the forest dims to a quiet blue. The rifles are packed away, but the unease remains. German evaluators walk back toward their trucks, the crunch of gravel under their boots, loud in the fading light. Some are silent, others whisper to each other about Normandy, about Italy, about the unstoppable streams of fire U.S. riflemen now deliver with ease. Many know this. If Germany cannot match the Garand, they must compensate with tactics, because on a 1-to-1 basis, the American infantryman now carries a clear advantage. And as the trucks rumble away, a final question hangs in the cool evening air. Which weapon of our era will shock future generations the same way how this rifle shocked them? Your thoughts might surprise you.